For every 3 people in the US, 1 has a healthy weight, 1 is overweight, and the third is obese. This amounts to an estimated medical cost of obesity of $147 billion. The question that arises is, what causes so many people to become so big? There's no easy answer to this question, but it boils down to the following. Do we eat too much food, or do we eat the wrong food? Well, let's start with eating too much food. The idea that obesity is due to an energy balance disorder has been the foundation of nutritional science since the 1960s. The World Health Organization says the fundamental cause of obesity and overweight is an energy imbalance between calories consumed and calories expended. Arguing against this reasoning isn't easy, as it is backed by the first law of thermodynamics. For the human body, this means that if energy intake is more than what the body needs, excess energy is stored in energy reserves like fat cells, for example. Researchers are now trying to answer the underlying questions. Why do we consume excess energy? And why and how do our fat cells store this energy? Nutritional research has experimented with different diets. They look into the effect of the 3 macronutrients, protein, fat, and carbohydrate, and the caloric content. It was found that as we vary the type of food we eat, the expression of our hormones also changes. The idea that obesity is a hormonal or regulatory disorder, as initially proposed by the German Gustav von Bergmann in the early 1900s, is now starting to gain more traction. But how do our hormones influence the storage of fat? This question is, interestingly enough, not answered by looking at fat, but by looking at carbohydrates. Carbohydrates that we eat are broken down to glucose, which is then absorbed in our bloodstream. Our body likes to keep our blood sugar level constant, so if the sugar level in the blood increases after a meal, the hormone insulin is released by the pancreas. Insulin tells muscles, organ, and fat cells to use glucose for fuel, and it tells fat cells to store fat. If insulin stays high, our cells prefer to burn glucose over fat. Stored fat will be retained in fat cells, and extra fat can be stored in fat cells as well. Insulin prevents the burning of fat and increases the likelihood of storing fat. Thus, keeping insulin levels low will do the opposite. If eating carbohydrates increases our blood sugar level, which in turn increases insulin levels, then limiting carbohydrate intake will increase the likelihood of burning fat. The answer to do we eat too much food or do we eat the wrong food edges more on the side of the wrong food. While caloric content shouldn't be ignored completely, it is important to keep insulin levels low by eating less carbohydrates. If you'd like more videos like this, don't hesitate to subscribe to FoodLabScience. Other ways to show your support and the sources for this video are in the video description.